directors. We're also very excited to share that, unlike last year, we will have increased presence from our government partners. So both NGA and NRO will be on the exhibit hall floor. And if you're in the geospatial business, this is a can't miss event, and I really hope you are there. If none of that government alphabet soup is part of your daily world, I'm saving the second part of my remarks for you. I want a quick few words on where we are, the Trajectory Event Center, or as we call it, the TEC. I don't need to tell you about the best benefit of that. You saw that before you walked in the door. We have plenty of open air free parking, so please note that. We also, as you know, are minutes from the airport, the toll road, the entire Northern Virginia business corridor, and for those of you who, I know it's Reston Chamber, but don't hold my Herndon area zip code against me. Our space is comfortable, convertible, convenient, and clean. We can host up to 250 attendees, theater style. We use the air walls to create something more intimate, if that's what you're looking for. And you've already seen our reception space. Knock on wood, my IT does a good job today for you. We hold a wide range of events, training programs, corporate meetings, luncheons, breakfast briefings, and as you saw, the tabletops. As a nonprofit with more than 20 years in Northern Virginia, we're proud to be part of this community. We use revenue from the tech rentals to further our mission to develop the next generation of GON leaders. And if you know someone who's interested in hosting the event, I left my business cards at the chamber table at the front, so please grab one. We typically offer a small discount to USGF members as their membership dues help pay for the facility here, but as a symbol of our partnership, if you grab one of my cards and you send me a note that you heard about it, we'll send that discount to you as well. And hope we see many of you back here for an event when you're looking to host. I know that hybrid workforce, not everybody has conference spaces, so please take advantage of it. Thank you again for joining us, and Courtney, back to you.
None of this would be possible without sponsors, and I know you hear that a lot. And we're very fortunate today. We have our breakfast sponsor,
James?
Yep. Well, Amar, is he? Oh, James, okay. I thought I had your name and then I was like, it's Amar. Come on up, please, tell us about First National Bank. They sponsored our breakfast this morning, and would love to hear a few words from you. Then I'll thank the rest of our sponsors and turn it over.
Morning.
Morning.
Another Maryland resident of I think I'm good till tomorrow.
You're not alone.
Great to be here. We are proud to sponsor this event. Anything that involves workforce, academia, there's smart people in the room, so we'd like to be a part of it, for sure. We are First National Bank. We have a local office here down in Reston, right there off Spectrum Center. And we are now a $51 billion bank with operations in 7 states. Really committed to driving the personal service with the corporate capabilities of a large bank. Looking to really partner and add value. Sponsoring events like this is one of the ways we do that. Very passionate about small business and business owners, and looking to add value as they scale and grow. And beyond that, it's really about people, right? We're excited about people, want to connect with folks, and really grow with the communities where we serve. So thank you again for the opportunity to sponsor, and let's connect. Thank you.
We hope you got a chance to visit some of the tables, and we appreciate those that sponsor tables this morning to share about their companies. I want to lastly just thank all the sponsors that make the Reston Chamber, all of our events possible. Our strategic sponsors, KME Digital, M&T Bank, Toth Financial, Inova, Leidos, Miller Musmar CPAs, Reston Community Center. Our visionary sponsors, BEI, Studio 151 Photography, Boston Properties or BXP, and Visit Fairfax. And our advocate sponsors, CST Group CPAs, John Marshall Bank, Reston Law Group, and the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority. And our last are our council sponsors that make this event and other council events possible: Google, Walsh Colucci, DLA Piper, and Transurban. So let's give all our sponsors for the Greater Reston Chamber. And finally, I'd like to introduce introduce and welcome Joey Musmar. Joey is the treasurer, has been on our board of directors for a long time. He's the managing partner of Miller Musmar CPAs and a member of our board of directors for the Greater Reston Chamber. Joey will introduce our moderator and our panel this morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Courtney. Good morning, everybody. My name is Joey Musmar. I'm the managing partner of the Musmar CPAs. I'm pleased to give back to the community and our also board member and a treasurer for the Greater Reston Chamber of Commerce. It's my sincere pleasure to introduce today's moderator, Chi. She is on her way. How can I say this? I got to see her video where she talked about her origin story, and it was really impressive. She has 2 master's degrees. She got them at the same time in both accounting and IT. She works for NASA, and she's now the director of, how it was?
Agency Financial Systems.
There you go, Agency Financial Systems. And she is energized by the adoption of emerging technology, data visualization, RPA, blockchain, artificial intelligence, and really she's transforming what's happening with NASA from that standpoint. And that affects obviously the workforce of the future. So with no further ado, please give a warm welcome to Chi. Thank you.
Thank you, Joey. Thank you so much. Yes, he is right. I have been given to Gad, and we had a wonderful opportunity to share in a podcast. If you go to my LinkedIn, you can find it and just talk to, like I said, just a little bit of how I got to where I am now. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We're really excited about this event today. I hope you had something to eat, you enjoyed. Thank you for the facilities as well as the breakfast. I'm really excited to introduce the panel that we have today. I will share, we're talking about origin and where we're from. I identify as a global citizen, so I won't say where I reside, but identify as someone who's really global.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you use the microphone closer? That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Is this better?
Yes.
Yep.
So I was saying I'm not gonna say where I live, but I identify as a global citizen. Everyone is welcome. Okay, so I'm gonna jump into, like I said, we have a really great panel that we're going to introduce and be off to the races in some discussions. This is also meant to be interactive. So in the process of us answering questions and talking, if you raise your hand, I would love for you to share. I know there's a microphone. We're gonna do that way to the end, but remember, this is about you. We want to hear your thoughts. We want you to be invested and involved in the information that we're sharing. So the first we have is Therese Baker. She's an executive founder and owner at AdTech Professional Resources, a national staffing firm. She's member executive committee of the Professional Services Council, which is 2025. She's also an advocate for policies advancing government tech and professional services, and a leader dedicated to improving candidate experience and industry impact. We also have Chris Scavia. Thank you. He's SVP of Talent Executive at Leidos. Amazing firm. Leads talent strategy for 48,000 plus global workforce. Get the word. Oversees talent acquisition, development, succession, and mobility. And Chris works to align workforce strategy with business growth and mission needs. We enjoy leading us in this as well. Okay. Also, if you go further down, we have Liza Wilson-Durant. Liza's Associate Provost in Strategic Initiatives and Community Engagement at George Mason University. She's Professor and Associate Dean, the College of Engineering and Computing. Director, Northern Virginia node of the Commonwealth Cyber Initiative, and she also builds cross-sector partnerships to advance research, innovation, and workforce development. Welcome, Liza. Keep going, we have Kathy Morgan. Do you guys love the yellow? I'm loving the yellow. She is Regional Director, Apprentice is East Coast. She drives apprenticeship-based workforce development and business growth. She's a well-known leader and former nonprofit leader of Tallahassee Sickle Cell Foundation and Power Maryland. And she's also a champion for skills-based hiring and opportunities for underrepresented communities, which I think is great. Last but not least, and you probably know him as one of your fellow wrestling folks, we have Victor Miller. He is the head of strategic partnerships at Switch, SWYTCH. Every time I see it, I'm like, it's so cool to spell. He leads partner ecosystem to drive product development, go-to-market strategy, and sales channels. 30 plus years of experience, and his background is across startups, Fortune 100 companies, and venture environments. He's also expert in scaling operations and driving growth. One of the big things I would say with Switch, because we've worked with Victor before, is really humanizing AI and technology in some of the workforce placements. So, I mean, you read the words, I'll just give you a little bite. Humanize IT. Okay, now that we have introduced the panel, and thank you all for taking the time to be here with us. Now we have introduced the panel. As you know, today's session is really talking about workforce development. It's near and dear to what we do, what I do. Joey mentioned it. Last time I was here with you all, we were in a furlough. The government was shut down, and it was our organization's drive to continue the work of Artemis 2. And I just want to say that although it was challenging and uncomfortable, and, working without being paid, it's a big congratulations for humans that we were able to accomplish what we did last week. So when you get to watch it, please go back and do it. It's a joy. Now we're working on the budget, but I'm just glad that we were able to, in that workforce realignment, we were able to still accomplish the goal that we set out to do. So really, still celebrating that. Okay, now let's jump into it. Why we need good people. We're gonna start off with Therese. Again, she's founder and owner. Therese, the first question is, what are the biggest challenges, what are the biggest hiring challenges your clients are facing in this economy today? And how has AppTech evolved its services to meet these needs?
Sure. Sure. Can you hear me?
Is it on?
Hold on for a second.
Now? There you go. Okay. First, I'd like to thank Kevin, Chi, and Tabby for having me. This is great. And of course, having so many years experience in the staffing industry, I could talk for hours. I did want to let everybody know that Larry is here. He's one of the founders of AppTech, and he also has a lot to share about this topic. I've got 4 things that I'd like to share with you. The first one is the talent skills, the culture. The good news is there are a lot of candidates out there. The bad news is there are a lot of candidates out there. So that makes our jobs a little harder in finding the right talent, the right skills, the right experience, the right attitude, the right personality. We all have different cultures today, some hybrid, some remote, some are in office. So finding candidates who want to fit that culture can be a bit of a challenge. Also, the government used to be a good source of employment for folks, not so much anymore. And then we're getting a lot of candidates who've been in the government, now they have to go to the workforce. And there's a transition that they have to go through. So helping those candidates transition from government to commercial industry. And then clearances. We have a number of candidates who have clearances who are foregoing their clearance because they want to smoke marijuana. So that is a challenge in finding candidates, right? And we've had candidates tell us that. They go, I don't care about my clearance, I just want to smoke marijuana. So that is one. And then imposter candidates and laptop farms. That is huge. And Chris and I talked about that a little bit earlier. So that might take up a big conversation today. And what I mean by that is there are candidates that are interviewing for positions. Those aren't the real candidates. Wow. They're AI bots. They are maybe candidates that are being paid to interview on the Zoom calls. So we are putting together AI hiring policies that say when you have Zoom interviews, this is what you do to make sure that this is not an AI bot. I am thankful today that you are all here in person and you're not AI bots. Because then I'd have to make you wave your hand, show me your ID, all of that kind of thing to make sure I know who you are. And then the laptop farms, and Chris, I hope you shared with them what you shared with us. Basically, the AI bots are getting positions, and clients are sending laptops to the supposed new hire, but they're really not going to the new hire. They are going to a laptop farm, which in turn, bad apples outside of the United States are coming in and stealing our data. So that's very, very important. And then the other thing with AI, I am on the board of the American Staffing Association, and we are finding that the vendors that create AI tools, some of those tools are discriminatory. And what's happening is we as companies are going back to the vendors who are creating the tools and say, listen, we either need to adjust the tool, fix the tool, or we need to be indemnified, because if we hire somebody using discriminatory practices, we're liable. So there's a big debate going on, who's responsible, and how do we fix that problem. Now, the second part of your question was how AbTech is addressing that. A couple of things, we're having real conversations with our AI applications. You know, the vendors who create that, we're very, very, very aware of who is providing us AI tools, what do those tools do, how do we avoid discriminatory practices. We are also working with other companies within the American Staffing Association who have AI hiring policies. So we're creating our own AI hiring policy. And if anybody's interested in seeing what we have, I'm happy to share that with you, because we as an organization and people in general and all of our companies, we have to protect everything that we have when we go out and we hire and find that top talent.
Is everybody else clutching their pearls?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to hire someone in April. And I hope it's not a guy just smoking bot like mine. We're gonna add truth teller to your list of credentials. No, but again, these are real-time problems. Okay, these are real-time problems. And I'm glad you mentioned the government and industry, right? Because I think that is a change, and especially for us, Beltway or Toll Road, you know, this particular sector that we have. That is something that we do have to address. Although most of us are global and we have opportunities to tap into other networks, you know, what is the trend? Is government the safe place? Is it industry? And what we're seeing is just gonna be a partnership with folks. It's good that you're able to make that. Whew, take a deep breath. Right? Good morning. We're gonna go now to Chris, our EVP of Talent. Chris, my question for you, and if anybody wants to go back to these when we get to your time, please tap in. We'll get to Chris, EVP of Talent. As a leading government contractor, how is Leidos adapting its approach to recruiting and retaining top talent, right? Like we can get them in and they stay. What challenges are you facing, and what strategies or tools are you proving to be most effective?
That sounds like 3 or 4 questions. But thank you for being here, and thanks for taking your time to come and listen to us. I think we have some good stuff to offer. I'd like to just touch on the fraud that was mentioned. And they say we're creeping on an environment where 1 in 4 applicants are going to be some sort of an imposter. Whether it's
Yes.
okay, that on its own.
Yeah. Okay.
Everything from a simple issue around using AI to answer the questions in the interview, to the resume not being their exact skills, right? Using AI to beef up the resume. All the way to actually, it's not them when they're interviewing, and you're seeing someone that's not the actual person, they're using AI to change their face. And we've had this occur a few times already. And we've had a similar person, change their face a few times. and attended that way. We've had scenarios where you send a laptop in, there's a strange situation at the house where the laptop is, you know. So they're definitely trying, for sure. And then you have everything all the way to where you have North Korea that actually runs laptop farms and actually wants to, have a house in the suburbs where there's a basement full of 100 laptops from different companies. And these people, all they are is the login folks. They're the logins, they connect it to North Korea, and then they're the ones that actually do the work. Some have been caught, some have not, but it is a problem from A to Z, and it's going to continue. What worries me about that is, at Leidos, we're right around 100 to 110,000 applicants per month. And, when you think about that, we fluctuate probably right around 3,000 open jobs. So 110,000 people on 3,000 open jobs, 1 in 4 is not real. That's a lot of work. So I had to, as one of the challenges I'm facing now is, we have been going through the entire hiring process to try to figure out every gate point that we could implement something that would try to ensure we're safe. And you can have everything from ensuring the candidate pool in the applicant system is not on the FBI wanted list, and partner with CloudStrike, make sure there's no issues there. All the way to companies like us, we're debating, well, do we make everybody that works remote come into a location and actually get their laptop by hand? So we're thinking of all these things, but it is a very important challenge. So I had to give it
Thank
this.
you.
You're
I'm glad
welcome.
you did that.
You called
We just
me
had
out.
this
You called-
conversation.
You called me out, so I had to do it. I think the next challenge that I'll say that I experienced, in addition to all the ones you stated, so she actually filled in my response already, but I would like to add, getting the applicant to apply to the right job is huge for me, especially with, you think of 3,000 open ranks, but 100,000+ people applying to them. If they type in software engineer, they type in program manager, 100 recs come up. Do they read them? Are they applying the right one? Does some require a clearance, but they're not looking for that? A candidate really, in this day and age, they don't want to take 20, 30 minutes to apply to the right job. They want to find a job, click on it, it's got the location, it says software engineer, and I'm applying to it. And so our job is to try to make that process happen better. So, we do things at Leidos similar to, I have live recruiters, so if it is a certain type of job, a candidate can actually just immediately connect with a live recruiter. And we have a career concierge that tries to answer questions, helps guide them. We have suggestions. We're even looking at moving to a process by which they can upload their resume and it will suggest the right 5 software engineering jobs based on the match of the skills they have in their resume. So that's one thing I wanted to add from the recruitment perspective. I think the second piece was workforce and developing them. So we're very, very committed to the learning and development of our internal population. Today, we are typically right around the 20,000 mark of the number of employees that actually do learning and development and upskilling at our company. We anticipate by the end of this year, we'll probably be somewhere around 30,000. So we're creeping up. And the company is taking advantage of the upskilling. Now, the interesting thing is, what we're allowing them to do is upskill in anything they want. And we're covering the cost. We're not asking the business units or the line, so that the employee has to ask, parent, may I, take an hour to take this. We're covering that at the overall top of the company level, so that everybody can avoid those conversations with their supervisors. Secondly, we're allowing, you could be in finance. If, we had in a contest recently, and it was an AI contest, and the winner was actually someone in contracts, subcontracts, who actually built an AI algorithm to actually perform something. Well, that person then got a few interviews and is looking to make a career change. So a number of things there, and I think if I had, let me see here, that's how I'll answer those actually for now. Yeah.
That's really good, that's really good, thank you, Chris. So definitely you hit everything, right? So we talked about the recruiting, and I think that that's really important, especially now. I think for all of you, people like me, when we're looking at these candidates, you have people that are applying to many jobs over and over. So that right sizing, having the concierge, or having the ability for technology to help point you to something that's a better fit, I think that's really good.
Yeah, and actually, now that you said that, the most I've seen a person apply to is 1,000 jobs within a 2-week period. How do you think they did that?
And it's good, like you said, to get back to the good old fashioned. So when you have a person that's in the office, that's getting a laptop, or one of those, someone working to a laptop farm, that upskilling and that retention is very important, because you're putting a lot, you're investing a lot of time, money, resources into getting the candidate in the door. So definitely on my side, I want to see the retention. So we don't want to see someone on board come in, do all that, and then 12 months they're back out in the job market. So I really like the opportunity to learn and develop outside of that particular thing. That's actually how I got to where I am. Like you said, we go back to the podcast. I remember being on an interview for a well-known accounting firm. I'd been doing financial statements. That was the bread and butter. And I remember his head was down, and he didn't really look at me. He didn't really, he was on his computer. And then 5 minutes in the interview, he's like, "What are you really looking at?" And I was like, I've been auditing, I've been financial statements. My interest is in the computers that we're trying to get the information from. And just like that, he put me on a project. He was on the U.S. Senate Center Honors, and Chief IT was born. I had to go back, like you said, get a double master's. But it really took that person at the point in time to really be honest about what this means for her. And look at your candidate. But it also was me on my side, abandon the resume that I walked in with and tell them what I really wanted. And it's what I'm doing here now, IT for finance. Thank you, Chris. All right, that was really good. So now we're going to go to our associate provost. We do have a question for you. We understand the importance of university. As a leading educational institution in the DMV, Liza, how is GMU evolving to address workforce trends to support their lifelong training needs? Again, how are you partnering with the industry or even federal government to better prepare talent in the university?
Thank you, and thanks to the Chamber for inviting me here today. It's a big question. We could spend the whole afternoon talking about it. I'll just try and take a few minutes to give you the big picture, and I guess as we move on, we'll talk about more details. So, from our perspective, emerging technologies and AI are presenting competition for a very limited pool of talent that's out there. There are, for example, about 53,000 open jobs in cybersecurity in Virginia, about 10,000 jobs that mention AI now. So, those two jobs, AI and the cyber, are really competing for very similar talent profiles of person. The AI profiles are almost 60% of them are mentioning generative AI skills, so prompt engineering, for example, so very specific skills. There was a recent study too regarding Virginia that said something like 35% of the jobs in Virginia will be impacted or augmented in a positive way by AI. That's about 1.5 million jobs. Mostly project management, communications, marketing, accounting, either for better or for worse, there's going to be impact and a need for those skills. So how is George Mason approaching that? We've decided to go all in to become the most AI-enabled university in the United States. So we're leaning in big, our president's deep in. We've made some very strategic partnerships with several technology companies that are well known. And our approach was first to hire the first chief AI officer in the Commonwealth of Virginia for an academic institution. And she's leading our efforts to embed AI deep into our research, our curriculum and degree programs, our continuing professional ed, and then really significantly our operations and administration. So AI everywhere. We have launched Patriot AI, which consists of about 7 agents that are utilized by students and faculty and staff to advance our work, but really to make us adept at using AI. We have really gone deep in with curriculum. So we have core courses for AI for all. So every single person at George Mason can now take an AI course that's bringing some of those skills that'll meet that 10,000 job rec in one way or another, even if they're, let's say, a history major, an English major, or an engineer. Our flavor of AI for all is responsible AI. So a big focus on ethics in AI. We have a minor in that anyone can take. And then looking across the entire curriculum, we have concentrations across the university in AI plus X. So AI plus health, AI plus business, AI and IT. So, no matter what you're studying, you can add an AI concentration to it, so you will get some of that skill set that's being required now. And we're gonna see, probably triple the number of jobs that are requiring some sort of generative AI skills, regardless of the field. In the future, we're trying to hedge our bets on that. We have the first first master's degree in AI in the Commonwealth that was delivered. We have a credential or certificate, a graduate certificate in responsible AI, which is just a handful of courses that anyone can take. That's leaning into helping industry upskill. We have more than 100 continuing and professional education classes, many of which are touching on AI. We have the Mason Academy, which is a place where you can come and undertake credentials outside of the university. And when the federal workers were laid off, displaced, we made the Mason Academy free for them, or something like $20. So you could take as many credentials as you wanted to try and augment, and think about that switching career pathway and how you might accomplish that. Hopefully George Mason supporting you with those new credentials and skills. So lots and lots of education and programming. Our focus too is on lifelong learning, so not just degrees. And in fact, if you look across a lot of the job recs now, they're looking at certificates and credentials. People are asking, what is the value of a 4-year degree now, especially as technology is changing so rapidly. By the time I finish my 4 years, am I learning what is relevant now 4 years later? That's a really critical question, again, that we're leaning into with shorter stackable credentials to make sure that people get that just-in-time learning. But to know what is needed, industry has to be a major partner with that. And most of the new degrees, concentrations, continuing education we've developed has been done with industry as a direct partner. What are the skills, knowledge, and abilities you need? What do you need 5 years from now? What do you think you'll need 10 years from now? And then we work backwards to develop that curriculum. And that's enabled us to develop first in the nation degrees in cybersecurity engineering, data analytics engineering, or obviously things like our PhD in robotics, the first in the Commonwealth, things of that nature. And industry really has to be deeply embedded. So beyond the classroom type of skills, the experiential learning aspect, going out and actually having those hands-on opportunities, internships, mentorships, apprenticeships, hackathons, different ways for people to demonstrate those real world skills, we have to work with industry and government to do that. So if you think about George Mason of the future, we're positioning ourselves to be really a regional workforce platform or integrator, where it's, yes, degrees, but credentials, certifications, industry, government, and other entities such as the other organizations here working as an ecosystem, trying to figure out, what's each of our lanes and how can we all work together. And the employers that really lean into that, who embed themselves way early in the stream, maybe even working with our K through 12 partners, with our community college and us, those are the ones that are going to benefit the most from all that we're doing. If you wait until the moment that you're hiring someone, then you're not going to get the talent pipeline you're seeking. So you've got to lean in and be engaged in this integrated platform that we're building early on, telling us what you need, and then providing those hands-on experiential learning opportunities.
Can I? I just want to say, from everything you just said, absolutely right on. And I want to give the perspective from a large defense contractor in the area. The way we see AI and technology, winner, chicken dinner, I think that's the thing out there, but imperative. If, we have installed a platform for all employees to use ChatGPT every hour, every day. If you log in the morning and it's not the first thing you bring up, and you don't look through all your meetings and decide, how can I prepare some research or do something for that meeting and make it 10 minutes more efficient, 5 minutes more efficient, you won't be in the winner's circle in the coming future. Secondly, it doesn't always have to be what we hear in the news, that we're going to be replaced. It doesn't always have to be like that. I have 300 global recruiters. I've had a robot, an AI bot, calling candidates and screening them. My AI robot can call 36,000 people in 4 weeks. And it can transmit the screening information into our database, automated. Recruiter doesn't have to write it in. They don't have to ask the candidate the questions. I now have an AI bot that actually matches these candidates to jobs, suggests the jobs that they should apply to. I haven't laid off recruiters, but what I haven't done is had to hire 50 more. So those are the two takeaways that I really would want to put out there. And across Leidos, there are stories, like I just mentioned, in each of our categories, because we are measured upon what we've done to capture the essence of AI and push it through our culture. So those two things, use it every day, use it all day, and crush your competitor. That's really what I'd love to add.
Winner, chicken dinner. You want to take that home? Thank you, Liza. I did take notes, not just degrees. Right sizing it and having the opportunity for credentials. We talk about that lifelong learning and life skills. I'm constantly training, so it's great to know that we have that partnership with GMU. And also kudos to getting your chief AI officer. Ours was downsizing workforce realignment, but we got an amazing deputy who keeps AI framework and foundations and interest going, right? So it's very important that you have that at the industry level. Okay, we're gonna keep going. And again, our good sister Kathy Morgan is lovely yellow. I'm going to wear a color tomorrow. Kathy, we do have a question for you, Apprentice, and this is so awesome with the apprenticeship and how that feeds into what we're doing. As a leader in apprenticeship programs, Kathy, what challenges do you face when engaging companies, and how are you overcoming them?
Yes, thank you for that question, Chi, and thank you all for being here this morning and having us. So this is an amazing time to be talking about talent, and thank you, Liza, for really laying up the challenges that we're facing in AI and trying to figure out what our solutions are. You all have heard a running theme about fraud. The great thing about apprenticeships and registered apprenticeships is that we underpin all of these partners that are on this platform right now. We help with staffing, we can help with large leading companies like Aleidos, and we can help with organizations and institutions like Liza work with to do apprenticeships. Apprenticeships, we are a talent solution. We help to solve employers' passion for trying to open up their career pathways, figure out what their talent needs are, and to solve them. The good thing about apprenticeships is, and we talked about that as well, is that there's a lot of talent on the market right now. There are, we've got the federal layoffs, we've got this area where you've got a talent surplus, and you've got a skill deficit, because there's those folks that are on looking for opportunity need skilling to be able to do that. Apprenticeships can help to solve that. Apprenticeships can solve that within any sector. We're not exclusive, although when people think about apprenticeships, they probably think about trade, but we are not, and this is probably my one takeaway, we are not your mom and pop's kind of solution. We work across technology, we work across life sciences, we work across advanced manufacturing. So we're a solution. We underpin, we are really a solution to as employers to kind of build their scope. We heard a lot about fraud today. The great thing about a place like an Apprenti is that we are a full service program. So what we do is we would screen and vet and present talent to any employer who's looking for talent to help to solve whatever role it is that they're lacking. And that's whether it's cyber, DevOps, you could be working for AI. We talked a lot about AI. We've got our new AI program that we've launched and we're working on fluency. So as you talked a lot about that. So when we think about how we want to, solve solutions for employers, we try to have this as a talent strategy. We want to be long-term about this. The great thing about, you won't inherit someone who's going to show up and you're not knowing who they are because we vetted them and presented them to you. You also have the ability for that person through a year to be experiencing an earn and learn model. So they have the OJT to exercise that muscle that they've come to you with. We will train them beforehand. We will have them ready for you day one. And you spend a year to really observe that person to see if they have the competencies in terms of what they say. And the one thing that I'd like to also add with what I'd like you to keep in mind with an apprentice is you're gaining someone who's got really great foundational skills. I just met a young lady in this room who, she's a nurse, she's also knowing operations, and now she wants to go into IT. Why is she a solid candidate for any employer looking for someone? She's got great perspective. She's gonna do wonderful when she starts to develop her technical skills. And if she does that through an apprenticeship, that's even better because she then has a year to prove to the employer that she was a win-win. So when you think about apprenticeships and you think about how you want to do your talent planning, think about the gaps in your company, the gaps in your system, the places where you can really think about, do I need this person at a premium price? Because that's the other thing, as Liza said, we're in a premium price area now for folks looking for AI talent. You're gonna pay a 56% premium on anyone you're hiring who says they know and have any kind of AI skills. So when you think about that, you can look internally, you can reskill your internal talent and upskill them to that level. You can also do a net new hire and add apprenticeships to that. And of course, employees love the place because there's a progressive wage scale that goes with that. And we can also work to get other tax incentives for whatever state, city, or district that you live in. So as we think about the things that apprenticeships can solve, we can address some of the issues that folks are having around fraud because you're gonna get a real person. And our applicants are typically career changers, they're veterans, and we do college students from time to time if the employer is looking for that. But it really is a full circle, comprehensive service that we provide through registered apprenticeships. So I'll stop there. And how do we help employers to solve? Again, spend time to really focus on what the solutions are, those gaps are within the company. So.
Thank you, Kathleen. I do have a follow-up question. Now this is me being interested. I'm very active with our agency's internships, right? So you do that in 3 cycles, 3-4 months. You get a university student, and like I said, that makeup is changing, not just young people, or people who come back to the workforce. So can you share a little bit more about, thank you for saying it's a 1-year program, because that's an investment on both sides, right? So for someone who is interested in having an apprentice, can you tell us a little bit more about the vetting process that you do with them? Again, so that, you know, we're feeling like it's more of a more, what am I trying to say, a better fit, right? So talk about the vetting, and that agreement that an employer would get, getting an apprentice from the principal.
Yeah, I love that question, and if, I'm sure a lot of us in here have done internships, but when we did that, we didn't really get real projects, right? We were like, kind of like the runners in the office. So the one thing about an apprenticeship, which the apprenticeship is that you have a year to really kind of do the diligence of exercising whatever training muscle you're trying to strengthen. It's a different level, caliber of a person. It's typically a person who's moving from a mid to junior level within the company, so you've got a much more extensive skill you're working on. On the internship arm, most interns are really, the data has shown, interns are like 55% of them are planning on their next move. So they're not necessarily committed to your company when you bring them on. It's a good time to give them some experience, but when they're in the door, they're actually planning on leaving you within 3 months, 6 months, or whatever comes available. And rightfully so. They spent a lot of time in school. Liza knows that investment. You want to find a job that works for you. So those are the different places where when you're working with an internship program, you're not necessarily going to get the value and the commitment you're looking for, and you're not going to give that person your bigger projects because you're not thinking that they're that vested. Here's why apprenticeship, again, works for you, because you know that person coming into your team is a part of your team. This is your employee. You're going to treat them as such for the year that they're there. You're going to invest in them. You also know that you've trained them. You spent the time ahead of time to train them, and they bring the foundational skills to the table that you need. So you've got all the things that you need to have a committed, long-term person invested in your company, invested in whatever it is that you're trying to build and grow as you go along. So no knock on internships, they're great. I'm sure most of us in the room had one. I was a coffee runner and probably grabbed a lot of lunches. But at the end of the day, if you want something that really is working into a runway for a person, you're talking about doing this through apprenticeships. It's earn and learn model, and most employers who are invested in those kind of openings, they know that they want to bring this person onto the team. They're not trying to just let them be a place filler, a nice to have, so to speak, as the person grow in their career pathway.
She said,
May I add something about apprentices?
So I run something called the Commonwealth Cyber Initiative, and I run the Northern Virginia node, and it's basically a $17 million line item in the Virginia budget to help elevate Virginia's reputation in cybersecurity. We make investments in research, entrepreneurs, and workforce. And one of the programs that I run in Northern Virginia is, we call it a traineeship program. It's essentially an apprenticeship program. We call it traineeship so people don't get confused with the federal apprenticeship program. It's fully state funded, and we put out a call for applications. Anyone can apply. It's often career changers, people who majored in something different now want to get into cyber, so it's a cyber program. We train them full-time for 7 weeks in cyber, and we pay them during the entire time of that training. We work with NOVA, Northern Virginia Community College helps provide the training. The learning outcomes of that training were developed with industry, many companies that you all know. And then we place them for 12 weeks in a company for an apprenticeship, traineeship. And we pay them, the Commonwealth pays them full-time for that 12 weeks. And our hope is that the company will hire them at the end of that time. They've had a chance to work with them, they understand their systems, they've learned something. We vet them, we put them through clearance readiness. They're US citizens, they want a clearance. And we had 400 applications for 20 slots the first year we did. And we have a challenge finding industry partners who will take the apprentices. So I'm just throwing that out there as another example of where industry really needs to get involved and lean in early in the pipeline and be part of these kinds of programs. It's a fully paid person. You know, we're not requiring you to hire them. Our hope is that you will, because the process works. So if you know someone who's looking for great cybersecurity talent, mature cybersecurity talent that may come from the military and be transitioning, then let me know, and I'd love to make that connection.
All right, so you got a little screen, vet, present, and you got a little prepaid, early apprenticeship. I like that. All right, so we'll do the front part if you're willing to rest and the rest. Okay, and last but not least, our well-known leader, Victor, is sitting in. Thank you so much for sitting in representing Switch. And anyone can join in. You can also share anything that the questions that have been asked so far. But our question for Switch is, with so many workforce development platforms, we talked a lot about the platforms that are available, what sets Switch apart? We talked about the humanizing IT. And what specific problem is Switch solving that others are?
Well, thank you, first of all, for this is the third time you've been leading the conversation. She's great, and I'm waiting to be her advisor or someone who's taking advantage of her ability to speak on these kind of topics. And thank you all for joining as well, because I'm last because what I talk about is the fact that Switch is not a standalone company. What I say is we are a partner company. And so all the things you talked about are the things that we realize of what's going on with the workforce activities. First of all, it's fraud, or basically AI being misused. First thing we realize is that we all upset about the fact that we have these resumes that are not real. You can get on LinkedIn, click a button, and that carpenter becomes a computer programmer. And then some of the job descriptions could be better. Some of them aren't enough to really match the people to what they really need. Everyone's looking for the unicorn. It makes it easy to just, ask for everything. And so what we do is we try to make sure that we look at the whole end-to-end problem. What is the job seeker looking for, and what is the person who's hiring looking for? So the first thing we do is make sure that you have more information than we currently have. Just having 2 pages on either side, that's not real. First of all, no one knows how to make that magic resume. And by the way, you end up having a resume almost for each application. And that's not real. What you really want to do, if you had someone who's really helping, like the old school headhunter, they knew who you were. They said, this person outside of the job, this is what I know they can do. And this is the job outside of the person, you start making matches accordingly. So the idea is that we found that when the Marine started, she was helping people coming out of the military. That person coming from Iraq, and what they're gonna do in Iraq. How they explain their career past and how they get a new career. And the example we have it's a real example that they'll look and see who's the best person to run a data center. And it was actually the cook who ran the kitchen, because they're a logistic, magician. But neither of those people will look for each other. That match would never been made. So part of the reason why we can't find the matches is because we're not looking for the right criteria to make the matches. So discovering unexpected opportunities, letting kids or grown-ups would change their careers, find out that even though I've been doing this job title, I may have this new opportunity. So we're using technology in a way to help, first of all, the non-technical solutions is starting with people. Having a career counselor look at that person who just lost their job, or someone who's trying to find their first opportunity, and getting them to pull out the information that's not easily obtained. Not so it's easy to do from an AI, but having someone who make that connection, and then using the typical tools you have for AI to say, here's a match. And then that allows you to find, I guess many of you find that you have people who are in careers doing things that they never thought they would be doing. I mean, here I am, I'm a mechanical manufacturing engineer. I'm talking about AI and workforce. So we never know what the opportunities are. So what we created was a full end-to-end solution, and we bring in partnerships. So we have a real partner. With apprenticeships, we find that if we all add value to that knowledge of who's looking and who's trying to find, then we help ultimately the match happen. So with apprenticeships, with education partnerships, with working with recruiters, working with career counselors, all of them benefit from our platform. So we win by making sure that we're not the only one adding to that search. making that connection. So, we have, two things that, one thing I wanna make sure we talk about is Maureen, who's unfortunately not here. She has a background, and so does Tim, who's here. He's our head of operations. They've had a long time working with career solutions, working with applications. It needs to be something that, whatever you're using, has to be something that's easy to use, something that makes the process transparent, but also something that's not burdensome. You talked before about no one wanting to spend, a half an hour. So we've done things to make it easier for us to involve the person who's looking, help transition some of the companies who are trying to make those opportunities available, making it easier for them to be more open, and therefore making it easier for them to find those unexpected opportunities, those unexpected matches. But the key thing that Maureen talked about was making sure this is human first. This is AI, it's not AI first, it's the human in the loop, human making sure that someone's making that connection and helping that person from when they just come out of college to someone who's mid-career, switching. And also we find a lot of people who are leaving at 65, they don't want to continue. They don't want to just stop and just play golf. What they want to do is say, what can I do? How can I be a fractional person? How can I maybe use my time to be giving back an impact? But how can I continue to be involved? So we were always surprised when we look at some of the partners, the kind of ways we did that.
That sounds good. I really like that, the end-to-end platform. So I do have a few more questions, but I want to open up. Remember we said this was going to be interactive. We gave you a lot of information. We gave you the whole range of workforce development, from staffing to large firm. We gave you university, apprenticeship, and then even some unicorn AI matching a bigger switch. Do we have an opportunity to ask anyone in the
Yeah.
audience if they have any questions?
I think it'd be great to open it up, and I'll run the mic out so anybody who wants to. Sorry. That's all right.
Good morning. Again, amazing panel. I did have a question from George Mason. You talked about cybersecurity. We're in finance, just like Chi. So, does George Mason do the same thing on the finance side, as far as you know?
You mean with regard to AI?
Yeah, and internships and
Oh, yes, of course, yes, absolutely, right there.
So our students, our undergraduate students, they typically are Virginians. They're typically Northern Virginians. And they have multiple internships, not just in summer, they work year round. So most George Mason students are prepared to work 20 plus hours a week at an internship year round and full-time in summer. The School of Business is where you'll find the finance majors, if you will. We also have an information security and operations management major in the business school, which is kind of that IT plus business.
that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, the ISOM major, and that would be a great place to be recruiting interns or even do capstone projects where you can give a project to a team for a semester and have a faculty mentor them.
That's interesting, yeah.
I'll be happy to connect you with the right people in ISOM.
Thank you,
Good morning, everyone. I'm Gloria Lammers, former Oracle employee, presently unemployed. Yes, I'm making a pitch for myself. But my question is for Liza and Kathy. Having been in sales enablement the last 10 years at Oracle, we had seen how young graduates would come to our company, we would train them up, and then they would leave. So then we were feeling like we're training our competition, right? So I'm wondering, from an industry or a company advantage, I don't know if this is legal, but can the company require the hiree to sign a contract to stay 3 to 4 years? Because after all, you're investing in them, right? So can you reciprocate and expect them to give you a certain amount of time with the company?
Really quick, I went to Oracle University and then did momentum implementation. But
So the short answer is, no, not really. But that gets back to the idea of building that culture. So if you are one who is working closely, let's just say with the college students, I mean, we start working with high schools, right? We have, at CCI, we have a high school internship, and then that company can continue them as a college intern and then offer them full-time employment. And it's up to them to build the culture of retention. But I think when you're partnering deep with the university, word of mouth is the best way to spread the successful culture of your company. Because you're right, everybody in here is competing with everybody else for the same limited pool of talent and skills. And so what we always say to employers is, you need to embed with the students starting their first year, and providing, you don't have to provide an internship maybe that's not where you are, but a mentorship or a hackathon activity, or come in and give talks, whatever that is. And then the students will have a good experience, they tell their friends. And you'd be surprised how quickly that company, even a small one, rises up in the ranks to be the company that everybody wants to work for, that aspires to. And then of course, to retain them, that philosophy of lifelong learning. Again, if you're partnered with the university or other entities to continuously provide new upskilling opportunities, which we do to our alumni. If we're all part of this ecosystem together and seamlessly working together, they're more likely to stay. And 85% of George Mason students stay in Northern Virginia. So at least we're getting that right. They're not running away to Texas and California, but we need you, employers, to be deeply embedded with us if you want to retain them at your company.
Yeah, that's a great place to start. I would say, I'll give an example of an employer who was having a tough time filling some frontline roles for them. And their commitment was they wanted, to your point, it was a very toxic and very limited pool of folks that they were working through. They created an apprenticeship that was 3 years long. So that gave them the kind of pathway, again, a place where that works for them. They can do a progressive wage scale for 3 years. They could work on receiving tax credits, at least for the first year and a half around that. And one thing I would like to share is that apprentices, when they work with employers, they're pretty much 90% of them stay with that employer for 3 years plus. It's an investment. So when they see that the employer is investing in them, as Liza said, they're willing to commit to that company and stick around. And the good part about it is that from the front of the beginning of the apprenticeship, they understand what the requirements are. So there's no blind going in, assuming that I'm not gonna be in this for a year or 2 years or 3 years if they're trying to fill a particular type position. And all of the employees we've done this with, we're right now working with the leading finance firm that are working, they're upskilling their internal frontline credit card employees into cybersecurity roles. And it's been a wonderful path for them. And they've even committed to now looking at roles across the entire company to see other places that they could do apprenticeships and, of course, train their entire company on AI fluency. So this is where the idea, the notion about how apprenticeships work, it's really apprentice that is, we are your intermediary to kind of provide that talent solution you're looking for. So it's not just a one-off. It's like, how do you make this work? If you want to bring on new employee, you don't have headcount, and you have funding in other areas, but you don't necessarily have headcount, we can handle your EOR services, your employee record services. So beyond just apprenticeship, we like to have employees think of us as a full-end, comprehensive talent solution. We want to be able to support you, whatever your needs are, your gaps are, and to be able to do that. So as Liza said, when you think about people leaving, it's about a culture, it's about the investment, and most times if you've done that with the employee up front, they're not going anywhere. They really are committed to your company for the role.
And the other thing that you might want to consider too is what we do at AgTech. If we commit to pay for the training, we also ask them to commit to stay, but we don't lock them in a contract per se. It just says that if you leave within 12 months, you return 50%, or if you leave in 2 years, you return. So there is a payback period that we ask them to sign.
One back in the back, and then we got two up here.
We got one more, Richard, you wanna weigh in, and then the next question?
So
Hi.
one,
Oh.
I just want to respond to that quickly as well. Tim had an example of someone that he helped acquire a job. Someone was looking for a position, but there wasn't a good match at first. What he did was he talked to the hiring company, and they found out what that person really wanted. So something more than just getting that piece of training or whatever, but where they were in life and making a better match. So it's not just giving an offer, it's finding out who they are, how it connects, and how you make a very specific response. So tailoring your ability to create an offer that has a long-term value to someone is something we'll look at. So it's, and I think it turned out well, right?
Yes, but to calculate ROI.
Yeah. So the idea is what he was saying was, we were talking with Kathy, another Kathy, was that you really want to look at your long-term ROI. So what are you investing and how are you gonna get it? And it's by doing more than just step by step. It's looking at full person, totally look at your company and making those matches that are long-term.
All right, we'll come back, I have a question for you off that. Okay, we got one more in the back?
Hi, thank you very much to the panel and to you, G. This is a wonderful, informative session. I was at last Titans, and this is my second Titans, and I really enjoyed it. I'm Melissa Allen, the CEO of UTS. We have a table sponsoring the event today, and thank you to Kevin for inviting us. I have a quick, I wanted to say to Liza, who mentioned the training ship. We did that training ship in Maryland with the WDC for Anne Arundel County. And we signed up and we received an apprentice. They paid us for 12 weeks to use that person. And that person is sitting out there right now. She's been with us for a year. And she's our marketing assistant. She's amazing. So I just wanted to reiterate that program works. That training apprentice, she's gonna be so the apprenticeship training works. She came to us through an apprenticeship program and, with other candidates, and you just don't know, when you sign up for these types of programs. And, I wouldn't let her go for all the tea in China, so. I wanted to reiterate what Liza was saying, so thank you for pointing that out. And, my other question for Chris was, when you mentioned that, to use GPT every day for 15 minutes to keep up with the competition. And I agree with that because it's so nice and formal and it looks good, but what do you do, and this is my own personal experience, when it looks like AI, and the person is looking at that going, that looks like AI, and it doesn't look like they might know what they're talking about?
No, great question. I was actually, a funny thing, but this morning on a radio show, I think it was 90.95, they had a 30-minute segment where it was, if you're a Fairfax County teacher, call in. And so all these teachers started calling into the radio station, and they were saying that the kids in school were using AI, but they weren't thinking about what they were telling AI. They were just like, do this for me, and then they were putting the answers in the test scores. And the teachers were saying, I just wanted them to say yes, but I got like 3 paragraphs, so I use this similar thought pattern, and we do at Leidos, we have rules of the road, and it is put it in your own words and your own thought at the end of the day. It's not just use AI to do it, but more use AI to save time. Because there are so many things when I just look at my calendar and I say, I used AI when I knew I was coming here. Now, granted, we've been talking about actual live things that Leidos does, but use it to be smarter than the person sitting across from you.
So, that's a great transition to my question. Sorry. Yeah. I'm Carla Post, Sustainability Director at Leidos. And I'm gonna go a little deep here, and this might be for Liza, but we are all seeing the research that Gen Z is the first generation less cognitively capable than their parents. And indeed, we're seeing, mental health crisis tied to technology, AI, social media in our children. And not just our children, right? And we even saw this in congressional hearings most recently, right? So we're seeing this cognitive impairment, we're seeing this inability for deep thinking in the children and the people that are our future generations and our future workforce, right? So, what are we doing? What are you doing? When you're saying, Liza, that GMU, and let me just preface this by saying that at Leidos, we have a big purpose campaign on mental health and wellness since 2017. It's really critical for us, and in fact, we work with GMU and the Center for Community Mental Health. But, what are we doing? What are you doing when you're encouraging AI and everything to encourage that deep thinking and to avoid that, to develop the next generation that's going to be our workforce to be deep thinkers?
Yeah, that's a great and thoughtful question. So I mentioned the flavor of AI at George Mason for All is around responsible and ethical use of AI. So we spend just as much time talking about what it can't do or what it doesn't do well, how to best channel it. You gave a great example, Chris, as opposed to how people might actually be using it in their day-to-day lives. Educating students, young people about responsible use and how to not rely on it. And then also making sure that we're embedding critical thinking skills, design thinking, creative thinking. That's something we've been working on for a long time. And every course, even the most technical of engineering courses, how can we back off from the basic equations and say, forget about everything you learned. What's your approach to solving this problem? Just out of your head, how do you want to do it? That gets into the creative thinking and so forth. We're trying to educate the whole person, right? We don't want to just teach skills or software or tools. We don't want to teach ChatGPT. We want to teach people how to leverage technology to benefit them and humankind and understand the negative impacts. Now, your comment about mental health, we're in a huge mental health crisis with this generation. Colleges, we see it every single day. We invest significant amounts of resources and logistical resources to supporting our students in every way in terms of mental health. There's a crisis in terms of the cost of education. There's food insecurity issues right here on the George Mason campus. We're invested in all that. We deeply care about that because the students won't graduate at that 75% graduation rate that we're so proud of, that exceeds many national numbers. Even though we admit 90% of the students that apply, they're graduating ahead of many nation statistics. We don't do that without investing in counselors, in time, in success coaches, the kinds of things that Switch is saying that they're doing to make those matches between a job and the whole person. So we need more resources. We're undersourced, and so is every university, but George Mason as a public university, the largest public in Virginia, is undersourced in this area. But working with partners like Leidos and others, the people of this community, we can hopefully continue to leverage these technologies, but support the creative thinking, all the good stuff that we want to see and support the mental health of students. But I don't think we can solve that problem today, but it's a huge concern. Thank you for raising it.
Good morning, everybody. Paul Cashy, Director of Business Banking, Consumer Lending at Eagle Bank. Really appreciate a lot of the comments. I took some good notes. 25% of applicants are fraud. That was really shocking to hear that. I guess I've got a couple of questions. I guess the first is just simple I-9 forms. You said you're sending laptops out. Do you have to verify IDs and identity of people before you are hiring them? And just talk through that process of how you're doing that.
Yeah, so what we've been doing the last year plus is picking apart the hiring process where change in hand happens or change in automation or from one system to another. So we moved to automated I-9 where they have to get on the phone with a representative and they have to say, this is who I am, here's my ID, look at me, I can look left, I can look right, I'm not AI, and I am who I am, here's my real documents. So things like that. Even though we've implemented that, we're currently looking at different vendors for the interview process to where we even have them verify who they are before they interview, because a lot of interviews today are video. What we want to do is have a little button in Teams where you come online and you click and you say, yep, this is me, I'm Susie Adams and here's my ID. They do it by AI now, so it can happen pretty strong, but in each facet of the change, we're implementing actions to take advantage of trying to identify the fraud.
And also, finally, the government is catching up with the I-9 process. So it was so antiquated, and they're getting into making it more IT friendly. So you don't have to have your neighbor verify who you are, because you're finding that your neighbor is an illegal immigrant, can't get a clearance, and therefore that whole process falls apart. So the government is fixing that too.
Yeah, thank you for that. Love the comments around the apprenticeship program. Like that's something that you know we should consider, as an organization. But my final question is: you've talked about ChatGPT a lot. When I scroll, I'll see advertisements for other AI tools and platforms. I guess just for the panel, what as entrepreneurs and directors, what AI tools should we be looking at ourselves to strengthen, our own portfolios, to strengthen our own skills and capabilities in the market?
I'll throw one out first. I would, if you're thinking the efficiency of your employees, right, and your leaders, right, there's many things like the ChatGPT in that whole section. If you're looking to make efficiency in processes or procedures, I would look into agentic AI, where you can actually build algorithms that help things happen without people and with people. But that's kind of the big focus right now is the agentic.
And I would also add, when AI first started hitting the street, a couple years ago, I would tease my staff and say, no, we're not an AI shop. We're human. We want to interview our candidates. We want to build relationships with our candidates. Even on my email signature, I say I'm not AI. I scream at my Wi-Fi. I have a favorite pizza topping, all of that. And we have found, though, internally, we have since gone to sourcing candidates, right? Like you had mentioned, where we can go through thousands of resumes in the evening, and then it pops into the recruiter's inbox. Now, the recruiter is still responsible for talking to that person, building that relationship, because AI can't sit here and go, well, Chris, I'm so sorry you got laid off, and I know that you can't put food on the table tonight, but therefore, we're going to talk about you. So you get the point. So I always say that we're going to be the human staffing shop, and we will do task-oriented AI implementation, but we will not replace our recruiters with AI.
Ditto on that, but also on the topic of what you should use, you need to be aware that you're going to have to be agnostic in the long run. So you're going to have to be able to replace something in a second, because OpenAI was everything a while ago. We don't even know they're going to be around 2 years from now. And so Google was far behind, now they're up. So keep on top of what you can do with it, not which one you're using. So the process is more important. So what does a chat session do? What does an agent What can it do? What is orchestration? Don't worry about all those titles or those details. The main thing is look at what you're doing in the business. Let the person who's in the back end trying to make it work, let them worry about which tool it is. But we have to worry, and we have to be a platform that whenever something else comes up, we just adapt to it. So, and also use one, to basically check on the other. It's like if you had people, treat AI as a person. When they first come to you, they're maybe just starting out and they learn to get better. And also when you have a team of people, you get more information and you're better. So if you use it in that way, stay flexible, you'll be better off.
Okay, time for two more, I think.
Well, could I just throw a comment, maybe this loud? So, I use AI all day long, from morning till night. And I created an AI bot that kind of says, Paul, like, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do for my day to day. And if I throw something in there, it tells me like, hey, you sure you want to do this? This is not, or you should give this to someone else, or have them do it this way. But I feel like if I don't do it, could I be replaced by someone else coming in when we have so much job market for replacement? But then I worry about my kids. Like, are they gonna really use their brain in terms of when it's their time for job? Maybe my time is too late, I need to, go with it. And I do get things done pretty fast. Like this whole meeting is being recorded and I'm gonna share with my team. So the point is, I think where we are today, we don't know a full grasp of, how to stop it. How to control it. And to keep our jobs and keep growing, we just need to go with it as fast as we can. But I think eventually we gotta figure out how to put those controls, boundaries, so the next generation is really using it the right way. I just want to throw that input, but I did create in my bot. It tells me, hey, that's your job. You should do this, or do that. So.
Does anybody have a teenager at home or access to Get them, just for fun, anything work related, get them to take a look at what you're having your conversation with, right? So your chat and your Gemini, because I credit myself for being cool, I guess, working for NASA. And my 13-year-old, 11-year-old was cool. They, I guess, with their perspective, what they're using it for, and this one, she just has a great amount of personality. I don't know if I shared it before. They're in Montessori. I have 2 daughters that are close in age, and they're Montessori, their friends compete, there's competition. And my the older one is very popular. The other one is, like I said, just got ambition off the loose. And they were running for student government. And she plays a lot of sports, she had time, so she used chat to write her speech to be a treasurer, like literally the night before. And the other one, like, was a week and with the outfits and everything, she's like, yeah, I'm gonna write it. And so she asked chat, and I remember because we all checked each other, she said, make it hype. I would have never asked chat to make it hype. She not only won the treasurer as like a 7th grader, she actually kept talking to chat and was like, okay, now how do I get the principal to take me serious? Give me executive strategies. And I'm looking at, I'm asking chat, like, how do I substitute, memes for the, So again, what we're doing, if you have access to a teenager, whether it's in your company, your neighbor, in the house, just for fun, let them do it. And then the other one they had me do was ask chat to tell me who am I, right? So do you use it enough? And I use Gemini, Copilot, chat's probably my go-to for a lot of things. And it was like, tell me who I am. And we all 3 did it. I think we were waiting for something. And I really enjoyed what chat said about me. It's gonna be honest, but we all sat there and did it. Said wonderful things about somebody, but I think that gives you a better perspective of what you're researching, what you're doing. My chat is always telling me take a break So it's great to hear that you also, you're totally, delegate, but, I think that, if we can open ourselves up to the next generation and how they are interacting with it, I do hear what you're saying about fraud. I do think that there are real cases, I'm gonna take this back to my office today. There are real cases that we have to think about, when people are able to, change faces or, create fraud in the onboarding of that process. But in terms of what we do on a regular basis, outside of just the workforce, how are we, embracing AI, it's good to kind of like, make it more easy. Think about the gym. Some people go to the gym all the time. Some people don't go to the gym. I go to the gym a lot. You're like, what's the best workout? I'm like, the one that you're gonna do repeatedly, right? So don't get too, sold into, is it Claude, is it Gemini, is it this, is that? What is your workforce gonna use? What are you gonna get a return on investment on? Really start there, and then it starts to change. But again, if you wanna be cool, wanna know what's really hype, ask a teenager. And let them read your chat.
So we have time for two more, so we got one over here and one there. And this is the best part of this, right? The learning that we're taking, the sharing. This is awesome. I wish we could go longer, but we do need to wrap it up. So we got two more quick questions, and then please hang around afterwards and ask more questions.
Hi, I'm Jane Sanborn. I'm a co-founder of Network Matters, and I'm a Gen Z college student. So my question is, there's a lot of research showing that college students are graduating with strong degrees, and they have gone through AI training, they're very comfortable with it, but they're lacking the life skills and the social skills that are really important. So what are your organizations doing to help train them or combat that?
That's a good question.
So this is a lifelong problem, right, for any student. I'm an engineer, so, I'll use the engineering school as an example. Of course, we don't want to graduate engineers who look at their shoes when they have an interview. So we work very hard to develop those professional skills. Capstone projects with industry are extremely helpful, where we're having them develop deliverables, pitch, we have a very large entrepreneurship organization at George Mason, very large number of students who are pursuing entrepreneurship like yourself, helping them to develop pitches, their elevator speeches, that kind of thing. We try to have as many networking opportunities as we can. If all of you said that you'd be willing to show up during a break and informally network with students, that helps them to develop their elevator pitch and their skills. But we have many formal ways to engage through our career services groups and things like that. Having internships, multiple in college, is another way. And then starting back in high school. So one of the programs that I run under the Commonwealth Cyber Initiative is a high school internship program, and a lot of companies are not interested in taking high school students because of this problem. They don't, do they know how to dress? Do they know how to respond to an email? Can they be self-starters? I don't have time to mentor a high school student, let alone a college intern. And so we developed a 2-week professional development skills that also includes debate among some of the skills that we work on with them. It's full-time for 2 weeks, and all of these interns that go off then to their internships, all the companies come back and say, wow, I had no idea a high school student could perform at this level. And then they sign up to take as many as we can feed them in the future. So even a 2-week investment in professional development skills for anyone, even us, I think we could all benefit from. That's what we're working on.
And I can add from the apprenticeship lens, the great thing about it is that you have a network of apprentices to work with. So you can collaborate with them, you can have them to be your coach and mentor. Also, one of the things that we do, because we are a full service organization, is that we provide networking and mentorship. We connect our apprentices with a mentor throughout their time through their Earn to Learn project, so that they can continue to exercise that muscle, continue to get the place where they can find the support that they need and to grow and build. So one thing about being an apprentice is that you do have that full, support.
I'll give one more example. So I've been involved in US First Robotics, and they've been around quite a bit. and just activities where people have to deliver, work as a team, and learn all those skills. My wife says I got it right when I said soft skills are hard. They're hard to find and hard to get people to exhibit. So having those experiences, things that work as a team, have project goals, as many of those as possible, you benefit from. I started, as I was telling Liza, my first internship was right out of high school, and learning learn how to work with other people, no matter what it is, any experience is going to be helpful. So in real life is what kids call it. Get them out to do things in real life, and it'll make a difference.
I think also.
Keeping in mind that not everybody is an A personality, right? And we have jobs for all the personalities. One of the things that staffing companies, AdTech does, is we prepare our candidates for their interviews, for their face-to-face, things like that. And sometimes that's saying, hey, listen, you need to listen. These are the types of questions to ask. This is how you handshake. I was in a program a couple years ago where we actually brought individuals in and taught them how to handshake, how to dress, things like that. But we're all mentors, right? And we all have young people. I mean, a number of you raised your hand, you have teenagers. I have a teenager, and I have her shake hands with people so she knows how to do that. I also want to add that for all of us in the room that on the older side, you need a mentor who is younger. So we always talk about mentoring our young. The young need to mentor us. So find somebody who's 15, 16, 17, and let them mentor us.
Let them look at your presentations. I learned during COVID, I was not in school, and my presentations are way better. Thank you, teenage daughters.
Can I just react to this young lady? Because one thing I want to say to your generation, you are highly efficient. Highly efficient. I think you guys get a bad rap, so I want to just give you some encouragement, because all I got to do is give my daughter, like you're saying, something, does it like that. And I like your advice too, that having a younger person, whether it's someone in your own family or out in your cycle is in life, mentor you back. Because you want the life skills, which I think we can offer you, but we need your efficient skills.
Right.
But we really almost really fast. I think we have one more. Thank you so much, everyone, for engaging. This makes me feel so good. This is going to be interactive. Thanks to everyone. We got our last question.
Good. Okay, I'm going to stand up so I can see everybody. I want to address the mental health aspect. So, I'm Kathy Yamagata. I have a company called Purple Squirrel. We're a fractional HR and talent acquisition firm. My first job out of college was in a women's prison, and it was my dream job. And when I got there, I realized that I was not well equipped. I wanted to change the world. I realized very quickly, I asked women why they were there. And what I learned was they did not feel heard and validated. Same thing is happening today, right? We lean into technology, but we're not feeling heard and validated, okay? So I think that to address the question earlier, it takes a village as parents, as mentors, as business people. We don't lay people off over email, okay? We have hard conversations. If I reject a candidate, I tell them, I have an adult conversation. I teach my 24-year-old child who's getting her master's how to have adult conversations. That's what we do as a society. We help each other feel heard and validated. If we can do that, it will get better, right? So we have to embrace technology. I use AI every day too. I don't have a bot, I think I need that. I might name her, right? But I think that is what's important, because the root cause of this mental health, in COVID I noticed it. People came out of the gate hot, they were angry, right? My clients are mostly cybersecurity. The hackers came out. We developed more products, more services, my clients did, and we hired more people than ever during COVID, because the hackers were oh, let's go, right? Because they were ready and they weren't feeling heard and validated, okay? So we as a society, as a world, we need to do that more, right? So I think that as leaders, as I hear you, and I love what you're doing at Leidos. I love that you're leading that function. I love that you are in staffing, how you're going about it. I love the program that you're leading. All of this, I was very impressed with the panel. So I just wanted to say that because I think that if we can do better as a society and help each other with that, we can help candidates, we can help them get jobs. This is the toughest market I've seen in 33 years. It really is, and I'm telling candidates that. We're helping them, we're helping clients, but I think that if we just help them settle, it will pass. We've been through a lot, right, in all of these years. Embrace technology, help each other, it will get better.
Very good.
Okay, I'd love to have us just do one final closing thought. I'd like for our panelists to give us their final comment and to send us out the door. And anybody that can hang around afterwards, we're going to talk a little bit about next steps and the next program that we have coming up in the future. But I'd love to hear one final thought.
So one of the things that I've done is I look at three things: experience, attitude, and personality. You can always give some experience, right? You can always teach somebody something. I can't change their attitude, and I can't improve on their personality. But if they walk in the door and they've got a positive attitude, a positive personality, a willingness to do what they need to do and work hard, then those are the candidates that you want to look for.
Yeah, I would say culture, from a culture perspective. Develop and champion an environment of bring yourself to work. My dog got out, I chased it down the road in my underwear, I didn't eat breakfast, I'm not in the greatest mood, and okay, next person.
Therefore, I'm leaving early.
Just understand that everybody's going through something, so we tend to miss that there's a real person in there and they're having a different day than we are. So bring yourself to work.
So George Mason's not just producing graduates, we're building this regional ecosystem for talent. And we can't do it by ourselves. We have to have all the partners at all the levels of the lifelong learning pipeline and all the partners from industry and government working with us. And it can't just be about sort of episodic, or from time to time training, but continuous improvement has to be the key to success, whether it's design thinking or mental health strength or professional development, softer skills, what people call them, or those technical hard skills. It's got to be lifelong. We have to do it all together.
I will ditto every single thing that the panel has said. My one thought is that consider at this moment that our labor force is under attack. And at this time, it's not a time as we work through this K-shaped economy to constrict our thoughts or pull back, but to plan. At one point when things take off, we need to be ready, and our workforce needs to be ready. We've seen this time and time again when we have not figured out what the strategy is and what the solution is, and therefore people come to the table saying we're not workforce ready. So my one final thought is to consider places where all of our talent strategies, whether it's education, apprenticeships, training, or staffing, will work together to be a really good force multiplier during this time.
I think I heard the word partnership several times, and that's why I started. That's my title. So it's how I live. First of all, is the representative from the Naval Agency here, still here? Oh, well, we have one good example is we need to compete as a country. We need to be able to deal with aerospace, shipbuilding, all those kinds of initiatives. So we need to be able to work together as a team and help create that future workforce. I was at an event a few weeks ago, Space Next. And how are we gonna get the next generation of aerospace workers? How are we gonna get all those require all of us working together? Because as a country, as you know, the missions we have that and as commercial, all these require a workforce that's ready. So let's try to find a way to. I think we need to create an initiative for the DMV. I always think that I'm from Texas, so Houston is big as the DMV. So the idea is, how can we get someone within driver range for us to have a collaborative, so that we have another workforce initiative, that's another workforce panel next week in BTC. Let's coordinate. Let's take some of these ideas we have. Let's join forces and try to create something that lasts longer than one meeting.
All right, Kevin. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This was very engaging. Like I said, we can keep going. There's so much talent in this area. So looking forward to you guys attending the next session Kevin's going to tell you about. Thank you for being with us today.
So join me in thanking our panel. So a funny story. So Chi Okonkwo, there's two famous Okonkwas now in the DMV. I don't know if you heard this. The Commanders just got a tight end from Tennessee, Chig Okonkwo. So you can now, when you hear him announced coming up to this season, you can say, I met the first and best Okonkwo. All right, so I'm Kevin Taylor. Just like to introduce myself. I'm the VP of Client Success at Therapy.ai. It's a new startup company. But I'm very pleased to be a part of this chamber. I've been here 14 years, and we have chamber royalty in the house. So Mark Ingrao, the former president and CEO of the chamber, is here in the back. And I came to him 7 years ago, and I said, Mark, we need to start an innovation council. And he said to me, why would you want to do that? You know, we had people driving by the chamber all day long, technology companies, and they had nothing to do with us. So I wanted to give us a reason to embrace and engage those companies. And so we are here to connect, educate, and celebrate innovation and technology. And I think we did that today. So give yourselves a hand, right? So we have upcoming events. So we started with the help of the Fairfax County EDA, Titans of the Toll Road. And we've been doing this now twice a year for 7 years. We started with why Google, Microsoft, and Bechtel chose Reston. This facility hosted where data analytics and aerospace collide in the Dulles corridor. And all the USGIF members have everything to do with the low Earth orbit satellites and all the private and public partnerships and technology and data that they collect. So we're going to keep this going. We have to figure out what we're doing in October. I have a feeling it will be AI related, but so we've got some upcoming events. I just want to make sure you know what keeps the lights on. And we have our biggest and most important event coming up. It's our B2G Matchmaking Conference. It's May 28th. And somebody may say, well, I have nothing to really do with the B2G matchmaking. What is that all about anyway? So we have 35 federal agencies and primes that are giving us a body in a room, and you can get a 10-minute appointment with them, okay? So we have government contractors. They have their small business set-aside office people there, and they want to partner with companies. And so guess what? They're going to walk out. This is going to be over at the Carosoft facility, by the way. And they're going to walk out after having this amazing meeting with their government contractor or federal agency or prime, and they're going to say, I need marketing, I need banking, I need staffing. So we have a small business expo. So we're going to have 30 to 50 expo tables outside of this B2G Matchmaking Conference. So I hope you guys will support that. If that's of interest to you, we've got a couple folks back on the membership table. Tom Madden will be there. Of course, Courtney and Tori from the staff. Give them a round of applause, please. And then I couldn't do this without the support of council. So I just want to recognize my council members. So if you could stand, please. Tabby Luffy from Tri-Vision, and thank you so much, Victor. So Victor's done double duty. So Victor has helped behind the scenes make all this happen and was able to fill in for Maureen. So thank you very much, Victor, for all that you do. So with that, I don't know if we have any other slides. We need to, or just if you want to connect with the chamber. Why do I do this? Somebody may ask, right? The chamber's given me more than I could ever give it. So I had 2 employers that hired me because of my relationship with the chamber. So I'm in it for the long haul, right? I want this council to continue to grow. Would you like to say a little bit about the next Tech Connect?
Sure, when you're done.
Yep.
Hi everyone, my name is Tabby. I'm the co-chair with Kevin. I don't have as many years with the chamber, maybe just a year and a half. He asked me to join him, and thank you again, the panel, for this amazing discussion. And about the Tech Connect, that is going to be in early May, probably May 7th, in a local restaurant in Reston, or perhaps a hotel will announce the location and the exact date and time. But it's a Tech Connect is something we launched earlier this year as a way to bring together this business and tech community to connect, to learn, and to build channel partnerships. We actually, from the last one we had, a few of them came here. Thank you for coming and supporting our council and this chamber. And that's it.
So that's it, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Please enjoy some of the food, coffee on the way out, and continue to network. Thank you very much.
Is this okay with us below the council? Joey's gonna Wow! Great job.
Being a techie, it's hard to find tech personality, and that's where that was my background. So I got hired to actually being IT personality.
I voted for at the time. I've always wanted to listen to each Oh, you're talking about Paul McDermott. He is like, his person, he was his side, his supply chain, and my side. He was my side. Got it. Wow. Yeah, we still have one of each. Yeah, we'd love to. Yeah, that's a long time. Yeah, it might be the government talk to you more. I'll try to go out in front of the event. Yeah.
Great. I'll tell my wife that. Thank Hey, buddy. But yeah, just hit me up.
Good. I need to take off.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, it's great. Oops. Sorry.
Oh, that's not mine.
Yeah, good to
Did you like it?
I do. So the topic is not as directly relevant to what I do, but it's still a lot of interesting discussion. So.
Oh yeah. Definitely learn a lot about AI.
Yes. So I know the AI one was, I missed that one, but I'm sure it's not the last time you talk about AI.
AI you can avoid it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I hope you see the next the next one of Pipes is probably going to be in October, but the next one's not going to be 7, looks like.
Okay.
But,
How do I find out about it?
It's going to be on the website. Check the website. Right now it's just has one screen, but it looks like it's so that's why I'm going to I think I met, you're the co-founder, and Marie is not Marie, sorry. Yeah, Trace. She is also the co-founder or president? So it's a box.
Brandy, like the apprenticeship program, like it's pretty cool.
That's funny because when people ask how long you've been around, my oldest brother always likes to say 30-something years. I'm like, stop making me look old. No, but
I'm past that point. I am old.
But yeah, let us know if you ever in the area we're close by, and if you ever need anything as far as.
Still recording?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.